Feed the chickens. Put this on real quick. There's beetles in there.
Mm-hmm.
Supposed to be?
Mm-hmm. Beetles and flies and mealworms.
Beetles and flies and cherry pie. Everybody's something to look at. Better off them eating bugs than us.
How you guys like my big chicken rooster thing? Philip found that for me and Stephanie, some friends of ours.
Good friend of mine bought it and kept it for about a year.
Before he finally got it. But we got it, and I love it. It's awesome.
So, welcome back to the channel. Me and Stacey are going to sit out here and talk about some things that are uncomfortable to talk about with our parents.
Yep.
We got some facts and stats that are really going to open people's eyes up. It did mine, and I have a story I'll share, a couple of them.
Well, the title, I think, would be is, are you financially and emotionally prepared to take care of your parents? And that's a conversation that's really, really hard to have. I mean, let's just face it. Who wants to go to their parents and say, where do you stand financially?
Yeah, and get in their business. And truthfully, a lot of people aren't doing well enough they could take care of their parents. I mean, that's a lot to take on, but I have a lot that I've learned from my parents and my grandparents. My grandfather took care of his mother, my great-grandmother. My mother took care of her mother.
Yep.
Okay? I mean, I'm going to get into that some, and that's what I've learned, and that's what I plan on doing for my parents. But as we get ready for this, realize the baby boomers, there's going to be a lot of older people in the future. You know, it was speculated that by 2050, half the population is going to be over 65. And that's nutty. But all we can do is take care of the people that took care of us,
right.
You know, and I just can't see it any other way. You may go ahead and tell my Richard story.
Yeah, it's just baby boomers. What do they say about? I think at the end of this year, the eldest baby boomer is going to be 77. So it's something you've just got to say, hey, this is happening with my parents, and have that conversation. Yes, and that was a wake-up call for you. I'll never forget when you came back from visiting him.
It was. Richard was an older man that he was in a neighborhood down the road from me, him and Miss Ola May. And they got older without children. He didn't have much. He used to do pulpwood, hurt his back, and he winded up in a government-funded nursing home facility. And it was an awful, nasty, stinky, damp place. And
well, Chris went to see him one day, and he wasn't at the house. And he's like, where is he?
Yeah, the house was grown up. Nobody was there.
Yeah,
and finally
so
ran down to Miss Ola May, and she told me where it was at, and I wanted to visit with him again. And I don't ever want to see anybody in a place like that. And it scarred me. And that's when I started figuring on taking care of our elderly. And I get this question a lot. How much money do you need? How much, when's enough?
Right.
You know, it's not all about money. I'm going to tell you something. That's how you help people, period.
That's how you help your parents.
That's how it takes money. You can open the doors for people. You can pray for people. That is all helping them. But it takes money to house people, to pay. We've got some astronomical numbers here that people right now, and I'm talking even the Gen Xers.
Right.
The Gen Z is having to pay.
They are.
For some of their parents already.
Well, they're out-of-pocket expenses. So this is another thing. You guys say, oh, well, I have insurance. We're completely good. In 2021, 48 million people provided unpaid care to an adult family member. And 80% of that was out-of-pocket expenses. They said it typically ran around $7,200 a year. So can you imagine all of a sudden being faced with a bill next year or this year for $7,200 out-of-pocket that you just didn't see coming for your budget? That's a lot for most people. So I think it's a conversation you're going to have with your parents whether you like it or not. And we've had it with ours. We actually have. We have sat down and had those hard conversations and know what to do. Go ahead, give some more stats.
Okay, well, the $7,000 thing is pretty much bottom. That's the minimum you're going to get away with.
Right, yeah.
The median yearly cost of in-home care with a home health aide in 2020 was $54,912. And the median cost for a private room in a nursing home, which a lot of people have to have, is $105,850. If they have less than $2,000 in assets, which is absolutely nothing, you can qualify for Medicaid, which provides health care, including home health care, for more than 80 million low-income Americans.
Okay, so this is another, sorry I interrupt you for a second, because here's an idea on this, you guys, and I've actually, as a real estate agent, I've had people contact me and ask me about this. When a parent has a home that's worth so much, they've actually had to donate it to their kids or sell it to their kids so that they could actually not have to show so much on the books just to qualify for some of this. And that's a hard conversation to have, but I think it's something that I've actually done, not appraisals, but cost analysis to say this is what your house is worth, so that they could know if they could even qualify or get in these homes.
Now, we're going to talk about some solutions in a minute that I learned from my parents and grandparents that worked, 100% worked. But first, according to the most recent data from the AARP, an estimated 41.8 million people, or 16.8% of the population, currently provides health care for an adult over 50. Now that is up from 34.2 million. So it's at 41.8 now. It was 34.2. So it's coming up all the time. Of those caregivers, 28% have stopped saving. So it puts so much pressure on the caregiver that they don't have any money to save now. 23% have taken on more debt, more credit cards, more, they're in that I got to do whatever I have to do mentality. And as interest rates go up, I can't imagine how many ARM loans are out there and predatory lending that's going on that takes advantage of this whole situation.
And a lot of people are taking out second mortgages on their homes. They're doing, and that can bite you in the butt too.
Yeah, real estate doesn't go up forever, sorry. 22% have used up their personal short-term savings, and 11% reported to be unable to cover basic needs, including food. The average age of someone providing care for adults is 49, but 23% are millennials and 6% are Gen Z.
Don't even talk about the medicines. Insurance doesn't cover a lot of those medicine costs either. So you're going to have to find money for that too, just in addition to your food and basic supplies.
And insurance is it's such a sketchy thing to me. We had good health insurance when Stacey found out she had lupus. We went to Texas to try to figure it out because nobody knew what was going on. And we wound up with an $8,000 bill. And I'm paying $1,000 a month out of my pocket for both of us to have insurance.
Well, there was a loophole in the insurance policy that apparently the one place that I went to, they said they didn't cover it. It wasn't in their quote, I don't know, coverage, whatever. So yeah, but you got to do what you got to do to get better, to take care of your parents. So people are paying these bills. Sorry.
Well, that's the main thing. Take care of yourself first. If you're not able-bodied, or you're morbidly obese with a bunch of comorbidities, and you're barely just scratching around right now, you need to take care of yourself. So you'll be able to take care of your elderly people. That's just the facts. I know that probably hurts some feelings, or maybe not, but it's so important. And really, you don't feel like doing anything if you're really out of shape and you're consuming things that is going to make you have diabetes and all that stuff. That in my opinion, would be the first thing. The second thing is, think about hedging your wealth in this environment. Listen to these facts. In this environment where over the past 2 years, the retail behemoth Walmart charged 31% more for chicken breast, 126% more for eggs, 18 eggs, and 150% more for a gallon of milk. At 70%, dairy, land, eggs had the highest increase between sweet onion, rose pricing. Walmart's vegetables jumped up 29%, meat and seafood 22%, tomato sauce 57%, olive oil 48%. All these items are going up as your wages aren't keeping up with inflation is the point I'm trying to make. So that's a lot to take in. I mean, it's a lot to. I mean, this is kind of a doom and gloom episode.
Well,
I'm
no,
sorry.
I don't think it is. I think take this in
Well,
a
there's
positive
some light
manner.
at the end of this video.
So take this as a positive thing. Instead of at the end when your parents are too old and you're faced with these bills or you're faced with these decisions emotionally, physically, financially, and all that, go ahead and have that conversation now. Sit down with them. And yes, it's very uncomfortable. When I went to my dad and I said, all right, Dad, I need to know, where do you guys stand? My dad has a pension right now that's a little bit scary. It's with the state. It's tied up in some funds that I'm a little concerned about. And we've had that honest conversation. Dad, what happens? He can't touch it, unfortunately. He can't roll it over and do anything with it. So I've said, all right, Dad, if that goes down, that's what you're living on. You don't get much with Social Security. I think the average is like $1,677, something like that you're going to get. You're not going to be able to live on that. And so I just said, okay, Dad, talk to me, help me, so I know where to help you if things go bad. So yes, it's a doom and gloom subject, but I think it's one, if you're proactive, it's not something that can be doom and gloom.
That's where it starts for me, is being proactive, because that's what I saw my parents do. And I'm going to talk about my mother now. My mother's mother, we called her Mama E. I had the best grandparents ever. And she got elderly, and she, that's the way it goes. She was in a bad neighborhood, so my mother, instead of having a live-in parent, which is, sometimes that can be really tough.
I want to talk about that in a little bit, but yeah, keep going.
She bought a house next door to us. The lady that was there died. She bought the house, fixed it up for her to live in. She paid rent. She had a Social Security check. She just paid what she could. I'm not sure if it made the note or not, but she was able to house her in a nice neighborhood. And after it was all said and done, my grandmother's been gone for 10 years, I guess, or longer, that one, the house has appreciated over double. So, I mean, now we're getting into some real solutions, but it had to be done early.
Right.
You got to think about this stuff ahead of time. And guys, you cannot save for retirement. You cannot save enough money to get through retirement and take care of your parents and everybody else that's going to need it in the future. You have to buy assets and hedge your wealth and really do everything you can, create businesses, other streams of income. I say that all the time, but I mean it from the bottom of my heart, because it's just impossible to scrimp and save and have enough to do these things. But that one investment really showed me the way on how to do it. That's what we're going to do. A retirement house one day.
You made a comment. You and Dan allegedly were hanging out, and you made a video, and you said, "How much does it take to die?" And that phrase stuck with me, because when you really put it like that, what does it take? He just went through that with his girlfriend Lisa, and he said, "I thought I was even more prepared than I was," and he said it really made me say, "Oh my goodness, I am not as prepared as a parent." So he's gone to his daughter and put things into place, and so anyway, go ahead.
We've got a will video too. That'll really streamline things. And people that just know, if you don't do that, if you don't take care of that stuff now, you're being selfish, because it's just going to cause hardship on your children and grandchildren and anybody else that you want something to have, because you can promise it to them verbally.
Right.
And I know Dan has had people come out of the woodwork thinking, that his girlfriend's family, just because they were family, had nothing to do with her, they owed her, that she owed them an inheritance or something. You're going to have that kind of stuff.
And not only that, so he and I, we don't have kids. So we have even gone to his parents, and we've put a few people in place that they know where some of our finances are, and gives them access to it. So you guys just keep that in mind with your parents. Say, Mom and Dad, if you guys, where's your access? Can I get access to that checking account? Maybe create a checking account that is a special funds that you have access to for emergencies and stuff like that. But we actually went and did that, and we said, hey, here it is. Here's if you need to know anything, here it is. And then your granddaddy also, man, he took care of your great grandmother.
My great grandmother, and I've got to witness this my whole life. The child takes care of the parent as they get older. That's just the way it is. But a lot of times, or now, people are going to be hurting so bad because of the environment we're in. I just don't see how these people that can't afford rent now are going to take care of anybody. That's why I say in the beginning of this video, take care of yourself first, or you won't be able to take care of anybody in the future. And if you ever think, Chris is just greedy, he wants all the rental properties, and yeah, I do, I want 100 doors, but that's how I'm going to take care of my
Our
family and
families.
loved ones. I mean, there's people that's the way the world works. You've got to create businesses, own assets that pay you, and that's how you do your best and are able to give. And otherwise, you don't have anything to give.
Right.
You know, and we made a video sitting right here, and I just got through reading some more comments about it. How I was telling people, yeah, I did make $1 million out of a welding truck. The whole point of the story was that the welding truck was $3,500.
Right. You didn't go
Yeah.
buy a brand new one.
People, and a lot of this is 10 years. I never said it took me 10 years to do it. It was way less than that. Welders get paid good. I had a skill. That's another extremely important thing to understand. If you don't have a skill that you can rely on, get one. And it's not too late. Real quick, since we're talking about the elderly, grandmother at 80 years old decided she's going to learn how to work on computers.
And she did.
And she did. She went to college and did it. I don't know how far she got, but they had a computer. It was hooked up to the internet. I mean, she didn't quit, and I had that to look at too. And a lot of people don't have that kind of thing to look.
We said that in the last video. I even said that. I said never stop learning. There's online classes you can take. Just since you and I have been married, we were talking about it. We've done real estate. I've learned to sell gold and silver. I've learned to do patents. There's all these things that you guys can do. You just have to think outside the box. And one more thing on a side note, when we're talking about taking care of your parents, don't forget your dogs and the cats.
Oh yeah, that's a
There's
good
so
one.
many times I get phone calls because I do animal rescue. Oh, my parents passed away. I don't know what to do with the dogs or the cats that's left in the house. Just keep that in mind. Just we have something in place. That God forbid something were to happen to us, our dogs and cats are going to be taken care of. We have a plan. So just don't forget that little side note. And a lot of people are actually giving up their animals right now because things are getting tough. They're having to take care of their family. I think 1 in 10 right now of people are actually considering giving their animals up, and that's a tough situation to be in. So just.
I wonder if people are going to start giving their children up. That's what I'm wondering. But I'll leave you with this, a little funny side note. When my grandmother said she wanted to go learn how to work on computers, my grandfather told her to take a pair of pliers and some screwdrivers. I always thought that was funny. So guys, leave us some side hustles in the comments for the elderly that are, you know, not even elderly, 60, 65, 70. That way they can start accumulating wealth. And this is a digital environment. You can work from home. And if you need a class to take, or you would look for some more side hustles ideas, I'll put the Economic Ninja Side Hustle course in the description. He's got a ton of good ones. And just kind of keep that in mind.
Yeah, and also maybe leave us some suggestions of how you would approach your parents. And one more thing before we go, that it's sometimes you have parents that are divorced. Not everybody is, still married. So maybe give us some ideas of how you think you could approach them. Not only that, but let's just be honest. Not everybody's going to want your family member moving back in the house. Give us some ideas of how you think you could handle that. He and I have talked about this. You're going to have boundaries. I was reading something of where they're talking about they're having to put families under one roof sometimes now, and you're going to have to learn to set boundaries and have that conversation now instead of where it's awkward and creates issues. And I know that's not something you really want to talk about, but I've talked to my mom about that actually. We have a joke, and I said, there's certain places I'm like, you're not staying here. My sister even laughs, and she's like, do you want a 4-star or a 1-star, place where you're going to live? But you can have those conversations where it's not uncomfortable and you know the boundaries.
Well, it'd be important to mention it to the elderly. Your parent, let's say they're 75 and they're starting to get into some stupid debt with new vehicles and refinancing this, that, and the other, and really live out their best life. Because some people, they're not there yet. They don't know about living, even at the old age. They feel like they need to blow and go right there at the end. But as they get to where they can't take care of themselves, being in a ton of debt is not going to work out for them. Because
No.
I don't believe that's your responsibility or my responsibility to take care of a parent that didn't take care of themselves.
Well, we have a friend that did that. Their mom took a second mortgage out on the house, and when they were having to help her, they almost got into financial debt and really serious situation themselves. So yeah, that's a conversation to definitely have. Yeah.
All right, guys, leave me anything you can think of that would help somebody in the comment section, and have an awesome, awesome day. We'll see you in the next one. Later.